It's the Mets and Cubs on NBC Sports Chicago, home of the authentic fan, and the wind is blowing straight out. It is a blistering hot night here in Chicago as the Cubs welcome in the New York Mets. Cubs looking for their 6th consecutive win. And welcome to Cubs baseball. Jim DeShays and Len Kasper with you. We're going to dive right into the pitching matchup. These first two games, some marquee names in those matchups.
Indeed, run scoring could be an issue against this Mets pitching staff tonight. It's Noah Syndergaard, and they'll get Jacob deGrom tomorrow. Great matchup tonight. Syndergaard and John Lester. Last time out for Syndergaard, 6 innings of 2-run ball against San Francisco. John Lester, 2 really good ones. Last time it was against Detroit, 5 2/3, just 1 earned run. He's been outstanding against the Mets in his career.
So we'll see how the pitching matchup transpires. It looks like an offensive night with the wind blowing out, but 2 of the best in the business on the mound. The Cubs hosting the Mets coming up next.
Is brought to you in part by Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. Ford, who invites you to go further in their fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Menards, save big money at Menards. And by Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
Summer is still very much here. It's a hot night and a wind is blowing straight out towards center field, probably harder than we've seen it blow out all season long. So much so the team flags have been removed from above the center field scoreboard. So the American flag at half staff in honor of the late Senator John McCain. So John Lester will face the following Mets Southwest starting lineup, written out by their first-year manager Mickey Callaway. Ahmed Rosario will lead it off. Former Cub Austin Jackson with his second team, actually his third team this season. He's played for 2. More on that later. Wilmer Flores had a 6-hit game against the Cubs a couple of years ago. 2 of those hits came off Lester. He and Todd Frazier were on the DL the last time these 2 teams played in New York. The Cubs won all 4. Conforto in left. Jose Bautista might be his final game as a Met. He might leave the game early tonight. Jose Reyes is at second base. Kevin Plawecki, the catcher, hitting 8th, and Noah Syndergaard, the pitcher, batting 9th.
Cubs defensively brought to you by BP. And hopefully it's a busier day for the infielders than the outfielders with that wind blowing. Anyhow, outfield Schwarber, Hayward, Zobrist. Third to first will go Bodie, Baez, Murphy, Rizzo. Wilson Contreras is behind the plate. And the Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher is John Lester, start number 27 for the big lefty. 14 up, 5 down, a 3.64 earned run average. So 6-1 with a 3.26 in 8 regular season starts against the Mets. His last 4 starts against them, he's won them all with a 1.30 earned run average.
Here are your umpires tonight. That's Eric Cooper behind home plate. Ramon De Jesus at first. Stu Sherwater at second. And the crew chief Gary Cedarstrom over third. Rosario, the Mets shortstop, will lead things off. Lester's first offering is deposited in the left for a base hit.
Well, the good news for John, the elements aren't good with the heat and the wind blowing out. The Mets are batting just .225 as a team against left-handed pitching this year. That's the last in the National League and 29th out of 30 in Major League Baseball.
There's Mickey Callaway. It's been a strange year, to say the least, for the Mets. They began the season 11-1. And right now they're 14 games under and well out of a playoff spot. Big lead over there by Rosario, and he takes off, and he's going to make it. That would be his 16th steal. And ball 1 on Austin Jackson.
Normally when the wind blows out like this, teams don't run a whole lot because they figure they got a chance to hit the ball out of the ballpark. They don't want to take chances on the bases.
.90 degrees as we get started. Southwest wind at 17. Heat index is 96. It was 101 in the day game yesterday. I don't know why, but it feels hotter tonight. (2-0) on Jackson, who started the year with the Giants. He had actually signed a 2-year contract. Got traded to Texas. Never did play for the Rangers before he was released. And then he signed with the Mets a couple weeks later.
Spent time with the Cubs in 2015. He has been well traveled over the last few years after a good run in Detroit to start his career.
Ground ball up the middle, base hit. Rosario will come around and score. And 2 batters in, the Mets lead 1-0. They were shut out yesterday 15-0 by the Nationals, but they've been scoring runs here lately, and they're on the board in the first.
Yeah, the numbers much improved for the Mets the second half of the season. They've been so banged up. It seems like just about everybody on their roster has spent a little time on the disabled list. No Lagares, no Cespedes, no Brandon Nimmo.
Nimmo apparently is with their team. He has not been activated. Jose Bautista reportedly has been claimed by the Phillies. And the word is the Mets and Phillies are trying to work out a deal. Well, Bautista's in their lineup tonight. 1-0 on Flores. balls, no strikes.
Jackson measuring a fairly aggressive lead down there at first base.
Jackson takes off. He's going to be out. That's a risk considering how this inning started. They're making out on the bases with a wind blowing out, but the Mets are committing to running here early.
Yeah, and he didn't get a very good jump at all. You saw the lead was fairly aggressive, but the jump was not. And his first move out of the crouch was kind of just to stand straight up before starting towards second base. Lester quick to the plate. Contreras strong throw.
And the 2-1 is taken low.
John's got a 4-pitch mix. Fastball averaging right around 91 miles per hour. Cutter, you'll see 87, 88. Curveball and a change.
Popped him up. Murphy out into the right field grass, and he makes the catch. That will bring up Todd Frazier. He's homered 3 times over his last 5 games. He's been on the DL twice this year with a hamstring and then a rib cage issue. First year with the Mets. So now he's played for both New York teams. He's a New Jersey native. John behind again. 2 balls, no strikes.
And 15 home runs for Frazier this year. He's got big time power. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark in any direction.
Lester's 2-0 is popped up. And Rizzo will let Murphy take it. And we'll see both bat. In the bottom of the first, 1-0 Mets. Last 5 in a row. Here's their Southwest starting lineup. Ex-Met Daniel Murphy at the top once again. Baez hitting second. The reigning player of the week in the NL, Anthony Rizzo, hits third. Ben Zobrist plays right and cleans up. Hayward in center batting 5th. He had 4 hits on Sunday. Contreras the catcher. Schwarber the left fielder. Lester the pitcher 8th. David Bodie hitting 9th tonight.
Mets defensively brought to you by BP. Conforto left, Jackson center, Batista right. Frazier, Rosario, Reyes, and Flores on the infield. Kevin Plawecki does the catching, and the Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Noah Syndergaard.
throws really, really hard.
6'6", 240. Big hair with a fastball to match. Reach 100 miles per hour, averaging 97. Couple of stints on the DL, so just 18 starts for the guy they call Thor. So he's got the good gas. He throws a lot of strikes, and he'll combine that fastball with slider, changeup, and curveball.
Facing a former Met teammate. Murphy fouls one off himself. The leadoff man is presented by Benny's Beverage Depot. If Murphy gets a hit here, Benny's will donate $100 to the Greater Chicago Food Depository.
Trying to throw a two-seamer running back to the inside part of the plate. Murphy got a piece of it, and got a piece of his lead knee.
Some guys look odd in a new uniform, but I'm sure there are Mets fans watching this game tonight, and they see Murphy with the home pinstripes. And he kind of looks like a Met. And a base hit to left. And now he's on his way to second, and he's going to make it. Little hesitation. Like Conforto had a little trouble with it out in left.
A little bit of a bobble there, and that gave Murphy the green light. Push it into second base. He carves that Syndergaard fastball the other way, and here he goes again. All this guy does is hit. Conforto, he's got a big arm out there in left. Tries the backhand, can't quite secure it.
I'm guessing double. It is for Murphy. Benny's makes that donation to the Greater Chicago Food Depository. Now Javier Baez, who's hitting 7 in a row, swings and misses. Is that a slider?
That's a 94 mile an hour slider.
Might be the fastest slider I've ever seen.
His average slider velocity is 92. He operates on a different level. It's just crazy. And the thing is, normally with that kind of velocity, you're willing to live with some walks, but he has very good control.
Another one misses low and outside. So Murphy has a hit in all 6 games as a Cub. Baez leads the National League with 97 knocked in. 2-1 the count. Oh, by the way, so you got the Mets with Bautista not knowing where he'll be tomorrow, and Kevin Plawecki might have to leave the team soon as well. His wife is due to give birth.
That's why they're carrying 3 catchers.
Ground ball, base hit. Murphy to third. And the Cubs threatening against Syndergaard here in the opening inning.
Yeah, Rosario, I'm not sure what he was doing. He was, I don't know if he was just trying to keep an eye on Murphy there. But he was tight. He was toward the bag. I don't know that that's where Callaway wanted him to play Baez, perhaps, but if you're Syndergaard, that ball off the bat, you're thinking, well, there's a routine ground ball to short.
Anthony Rizzo earlier today, honored with the NL Player of the Week award, hit .429. 3 homers, 6 knocked in 6 games.
As an on-base plus slugging up over 1,000 for the month of August.
Our Old Dominion bringing his best. Baez takes off. They got him caught in a rundown, and Murphy is not going to be able to advance as Baez is tagged out. Not a good combination there to get caught in a rundown because Murphy not running well with the knee.
Yeah, if it were the other way around, maybe the Cubs would have stolen a run there. But
well, I think he would have gone home on Syndergaard's pick toss like he did in New York. If it were the other way around, yeah.
So both teams losing a base runner here in the first inning. 1-3-6-4 the scoring on the pickoff.
And you don't want to lose many base runners on a night like this. They'll bring their infield in. And Rizzo fouls out of play. So you may wonder why. Well, somebody made a catch.
Oh, the old catch it in the beer cup. Catch the ball, tip the cap, chug the beer.
Cubs have tied it. Rizzo knocks in Murphy. It's a double. 1-1 in the first inning.
Well, double, single, double to get started here off Syndergaard, and he's looking at Plawecki and kind of shrugging his shoulders as if to say, well, I don't know, what do we try next? He's very slider dependent here in the early going for a guy that throws 100 miles per hour. Big Riz stays hot. He's been so good since his dad gave him the rebat.
Now Ben Zobrist playing right field. I was thinking a fan who caught the ball drinking a beer with a little touch of rosin and pine tar.
It's got a nice piney bouquet.
Strike called. It's 0-2. 99 on the fastball.
A hint of human sweat.
And he'll be on his phone the rest of the night. Back. Still 0-2 on the veteran Zobrist.
Mistake breaking ball there, though. 2-strike breaking ball up in the zone.
That hit by Rizzo, the 1017th of his career, the 999th hit of his Cubs tenure. Syndergaard fakes a throw. Wind blowing out. It's a hot night. Cubs have won 5 straight. They've got a 4-game lead in the Central. Both the Cardinals and the Brewers are off. All 3 teams won their respective games on Sunday.
Cubs looking to win their 6th in a row. It would match their longest winning streak of the season. Four-and-a-half game cushion would match their biggest lead.
There's a base hit to left. Rizzo to third, where he'll be held. 4 consecutive hits for the Cubs as they greet Noah Syndergaard.
These balls sharply hit too. I believe the Cardinals sooner or later are going to cool off.
Dave Island is the Mets pitching coach.
No man is.
It's Jason Hayward He had a 4-hit day yesterday. One tie. Cubs trying to grab the lead. That's some double play position on the infield. One ball and no strikes. Cubs swept the Mets in New York earlier this season. At 306 in that series, the Mets hit $142. Kick and a 1-0 is tapped foul.
Syndergaard, a classic power pitcher, big tall right-hander with that big fastball, and it takes him a while to unwind and get the ball to home plate. He's been very susceptible to the stolen base. This year there have been 25 steals, 2 caught while he's been on the mound.
Mentioned 2 DL stints, a finger injury, and then later an infection. Held to 7 starts last year due to a torn lat.
He was an All-Star the year before in 2016. Just 25 years of age. So the Mets, the narrative around the Mets is the same now as it was the last couple of years. Talented rotation, if quote unquote, underline asterisk, if they can stay healthy. Don't really need to have a whole lot of run production to be competitive.
2-2.
Jacob deGrom, tomorrow's starter, has the best ERA in the major leagues. 170 something. Zach Wheeler, who we will not see in this series, has really emerged. He was a former #1 pick, high ceiling guy that appears to have figured it out. So those 3 guys right there, give Met fans hope.
2-2 to Hayward. He struck him out. Syndergaard's a tough guy. Last year, you recall, as Contreras will step in, he refused to get an MRI after some arm soreness, but then had to leave his next start with that lat injury that would keep him out for most of the year. And then you may remember his spring training debut this year. He hit 100 on the gun 11 times in 2 innings, as almost as if to say, I'm back, I'm good.
Yeah, he routinely hits triple digits. I will say this. There doesn't appear to be a lot of deception in his delivery.
Top to third, picked by Frazier, and the Cubs limited to a run on 4 hits. It's 1-1 after an inning.
Game report. Daniel Murphy leading things off for the Cubs with a double, and he just continues to impress his new teammates with the way he's able to get on base, the professional at bats, and equally, he's had a lot of fun watching the display Ben Zobrist puts on here.
Yeah, I got the best seat in the house to watch Ben. You know, he's such a professional. He has a plan every single at bat, and you know, just about every at bat he executes that plan. It doesn't necessarily mean success comes after that, but he executes a plan as a professional, and I've been able to see it from afar, up close, probably about 7 times a year when we compete against each other. But to have a front row seat to that now has been fun to watch.
And we saw Ben Zobrist extend that first inning, guys, but both of them out taking infield earlier on this afternoon together.
Kelly, thank you. A long home run for Michael Conforto. So the first pitch of the second inning gives the Mets the lead for the second time.
First pitch of the first inning was a line drive single by Rosario. Here, Conforto also wasting no time, just hits an absolute bomb to straightaway center field. 19th home run of the year for Conforto. No doubt the wind helped push it a little further, but that would have been out of here on just about any day.
Third home run replay.
I guess the good thing from John's perspective is he didn't have to beg and hope that it would stay in the ballpark. He knew as soon as it was hit, time to get a new ball.
Jose Bautista might end up playing for more than half the teams in the National League East this season. Braves, Mets, and he might end up being a Philly before the night is done, or by early tomorrow. Jose has 342 Major League home runs. He is tied for 97th on the all-time list with the late Ron Santo. Three and one on him.
Well,
they bunched their runs together. At times they put up 24 in Philadelphia on August 16th. That's hit deep and foul.
And they were shut out yesterday. Over their last 4 games, they've scored just 7 runs. It was good enough to win a couple of games against the Nationals. They pitched a couple shutouts against Washington.
And they put up 16 at Baltimore, and then the next night 24. So 40 runs over a 2-game stretch. It was the first time they had ever scored at least 15 in consecutive games.
Bautista now 37 years old. Go ahead, Lynn.
I was going to say, in that game in Philadelphia, Bautista became the first Met to knock in 7 runs in a game in which he didn't start. Driven to center where Hayward will make the play.
More solid contact. But a hang with him for Bautista.
StatCast AI is powered by AWS. 472.
The longer ones we've seen in this ballpark this year. What did we get Hobbies on the other night?
481. Jose Reyes off the end of the bat flies to Schwarber. Their hottest hitter was rookie Jeff McNeil. He left the game yesterday with a quad issue. Sounds like he hopes to be back in their lineup tomorrow. He's got an 11-game hitting streak. I assume he would have been in the lineup tonight if healthy, even though he's a left-handed batter.
Outside of break. No Joey Votto over the weekend against Cincinnati. And no Jeff McNeil here. How about that? There you go, Jeff. You've just been compared to Joey Votto. That's pretty aggressive swinging early here. Now you might think on a hot night the MO would be to work the count. Force that pitch count up a little bit. See if you can get the starter to tire.
John's last start here at Wrigley gave up 9 runs. 2 very good starts on the road since. 3-0 on Plawecki. Kevin Mesoraco dealing with a neck issue. He's day-to-day. Travis d'Arnaud, Tommy John surgery on the DL. And Plawecki draws the walk. Every W counts, so everybody in. The weather and the Cubs have heated up during this all-important stretch run. The Cubs need your continued support all the way to the finish line. Tickets are still available for the final 2 games in this series against the New York Mets. Get your seats now at Cubs.com. Ball 1 to Syndergaard. As Contreras will head out.
Yeah, John's getting a little hot under the collar. He thought that should have been a strike. There's a couple in the Plawecki sequence that he thought Eric Cooper squeezed him on a little bit.
And we want to send out a happy 95th birthday to Renato Favreau, lifelong Cub fan. In Springfield, Illinois, World War II Army vet. Listened to the Cubs during the 1945 World Series on Armed Forces Radio while stationed in Germany. So happy birthday, sir. Thank you for your service. Also happy 90th birthday. Swing and a miss to Margie Bew in the ballpark celebrating tonight. And she's enjoying the game with family and friends. In the dirt, Syndergaard has 4 career home runs. Two came in the same game with Kenta Maeda at Dodger Stadium back in 2016. Full count.
John a little out of sorts right now, doesn't have the command of his fastball. They've ambushed him a little bit here the first couple of innings. The other issue when it's hot like this, sometimes grip. We saw it with Quintana the other day, constantly trying to wipe his hand, trying to find a dry spot on your uniform to wipe your hand off to get the grip on the ball, especially the breaking stuff.
And he walked him. So back-to-back 2-out walks. That'll bring up Rosario, who singled on the first pitch of the game and later scored after stealing second and coming home on the Austin Jackson base hit.
How impressed would you be if Syndergaard asked for his jacket out there at first base?
Well, I don't know if I'd be impressed or incredulous. It would be one or the other. Base hit. Plawecki around third. He's going to be sent by Glenn Sherlock, and he's going to make it. Throw up the third base line from Hayward. It's 3-1.
Again, first pitch swinging. Rosario 2 out of 2 now. Solid single to center. The throw was strong, but up the line a little bit. He's got to find a way to get the Mets off his fastball a little bit.
The Mets take advantage of the consecutive 2-out walks. And here's Jackson for the second time. ball got away.
There, yeah, you really put yourself in a tough position. Obviously, with the walks at the bottom of the batting order, the lineup flips over. Now you got to deal with some more dangerous hitters.
In terms of the rotation, this is the best stretch of the season. Collectively 167 over the last 10 starts for this group. Hendricks in a combined shutout yesterday. The Cubs major league leading 15th of the year.
That was an impressive performance from Kyle yesterday to give the Cubs 7 innings in that heat.
Randy Rosario pitched the final 2 innings in the 9-0 win. Another base hit. Syndergaard to third, and this time Glenn Sherlock will hold him. And that's a break for the Cubs. A pitcher at second base.
Contreras and Hickey heading to the mound to have a conversation, and the Cubs get somebody up in the bullpen. Just trying to put a positive thought in his mind right now.
Well, this is the kind of inning on a night like this that just takes so much out of you.
And Flores, who's up now, doesn't have a lot of power, but he's got some.
Four straight 2-out reaches. So the base is loaded. And Flores takes ball one. Popped up on the infield. And Rizzo makes the catch. Mets get a couple more. And it's 3-1 after an inning and a half. Glanville is with us tonight. Since we last saw Doug, he celebrated a birthday, so belated happy birthday to you. And top of the order's been really good here during this 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, you have to give a lot of credit to Daniel Murphy as to what he's really brought. Not only his individual skill sets, but the fact that he's created this stability. You have these 3 guys who performed exceptionally well, who have now had a rhythm of being in the same slot the last 5 games and now the 6th game today. Daniel Murphy, Baez, and Rizzo, and look at how they performed. 390 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. They've all had power surges and the runs batted in. So they've been productive at the top of the order. And that's created a lot of opportunities for the rest of the lineup to find ways to drive these guys in. But it seems like every moment these guys are on base. And then you look at the impact of the runs. I mean, 8, 7, 3, 10, and 9. I mean, they've been able to get into these high numbers. And when you get the pitching performance as their rotation has done, it's been an excellent combination.
Kyle Schwarber, who has homered in back-to-back games, takes ball 1. And last night, his block party raised $282,000 for Chicago's first responders. As he pounds one on the ground at first, Flores will get it to Syndergaard for the out. The high-speed action is powered by Xfinity.
Yeah, he got one in his wheelhouse and jumped all over it for number 24. Doesn't hit many cheapies.
Now John Lester. We were talking during the break, Doug, about Darren Daulton, who some may not remember, finished his career as a Florida Marlin in '97. He went out as a World Series champion.
Yeah, and you know, legend goes, we talked about him in his leadership. And sometimes when you have a guy come over in the middle of the season who's a key piece to a team that's already been successful to go to that next level, it's their observations to know that you guys have the potential and that belief. So you get a guy comes in, sort of a neutral party comes in and says, wait a minute, you know, you guys are really good. I mean, we play against you. I know what you guys can do. And that little piece that just can eliminate some of the doubt, especially a guy who's experienced and a veteran who knows what it's like to compete against your team every day.
1-2 on Lester.
You know,
Yeah,
so
you got to have a little cachet in the game to pull that off, and he certainly did.
absolutely. And Daulton, you know, you think about that team. I mean, the talent on that Marlins team, and you know, a guy to just say, hey, you know, what are you guys doing? You have all this ability. Let's go to that next level. And they certainly did.
2-2 the count. We've seen 2 guys thrown out on the bases. It's different tonight, right? With the wind blowing straight out, you don't want to be reckless on the bases and take away offensive opportunities.
Well, exactly. And in my conversation with Theo Epstein a month or 2 ago regarding base stealing, that is a factor when you talk about your expectations of being able to score runs. You know, you have an environment of Wrigley where the ball's jumping out of there, much more hitter friendly. You have to think a little bit more conservatively in that regard.
John stays alive, still 2-2.
And I think so, especially early on in the ball game too. Now, if a pitcher goes out there and he's pitching a game that, regardless of the conditions, you think, oh my goodness, this guy's locked in. It's going to be tough to do a whole lot of damage against him. Let's, you know, start to move some base runners, and because Syndergaard's easy to run against, you could see the Cubs doing that. And of course, John has his issues throwing to first base, so you could see that would be kind of a plan B for the Mets. But it's kind of surprising to see both clubs lose base runners in the very first inning before you even know what the pitcher's going to feature.
And that's sometimes how, you know, scouting can get ahead of you, because as you mentioned, Syndergaard's generally had a lot of trouble holding runners.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
And Lester has his challenges with throwing, so you're out of the gate. You're like, well, let's just run. But you know, Lester's found different, you know, techniques to keep runners close, whether it's the quick pitch or rely on the catcher. So there's a lot of different things you have to factor in, and you know, a little bit jumpy and sort of ran into the outs, and you know, those are obviously valuable runs.
David Bodie is 4 for his last 30, but it doesn't feel like it because 3 of those home hits have been home runs.
Got one yesterday off Homer Bailey. Got a fastball up and in at about 94. Turned on it.
I might have to apply for a name change, a nickname change. You know, Homer. You know, something's got to. You know, it doesn't work as a pitcher.
1-1 to David.
Yeah, Thor is good. Thor's a good nickname.
Yep.
I've intimidated a couple of guys if they're nicknamed with Thor.
Well, I played with Mike Lieberthal, and he was going by Lieby. I said, you know, that's not strong enough, man. So I decided, since his last name ended in Thal, I said, we're going to call you Thal. And, you know, that's like next level.
That's much better. Yeah,
much better.
Agree. Line and on a bounce. Reyes will throw late. Good effort by Reyes. But Bodie again hit one right on the button for a 2-out hit.
It's tough to stay on a guy like Syndergaard because his movement is so late and it's so dramatic. You saw the sliders at 93, 94 miles an hour. So when you feel like you have to commit early with guys like this high velocity, and when they have movement at the very end of it, it's easy to just miss the barrel. And that's what's been impressive with the Cubs. They've had a lot of strong hits early, so that's a positive sign that they seem to be on him. But you know, the way his ball accelerates out of the zone late is very difficult for someone to square up.
Murphy doubled and scored in the first. And time called.
I'm thinking, Doug, it could actually lead to pretty good habits, couldn't it, when you're facing a guy like Syndergaard, because he does throw so hard. So you tell yourself, short path to the ball, don't overswing, kind of hit it the other way. I mean, that's kind of what the Cubs' approach looked like in the first inning.
Yeah, you don't have time. You know, and less time makes you think less. All right, I got to just be quick here. And you know that quickness is not getting bigger. It's actually getting shorter to the ball.
Yeah, and if you got a guy out there that's you know, throwing 90 pretty straight, you might actually get a little sloppy with your approach.
Yeah, I mean, knuckleballers, every time you face those guys, they drove you crazy. It's like, oh, you know, 70 miles an hour, and you're all kind of mechanical breakdowns.
Inside on Murphy.
I mean, I particularly like the hard stuff, as you mentioned, taking away the thought. And you know, what makes Syndergaard so impressive is he has many other pitches. His fastball is, in and of itself, is multiple pitches. Right? He can sink it, he can cut it. The slider works off of it. So you know, it doesn't stay true, and that what makes him keeping you guessing all the time against him.
Mets lead 3-1. Bottom of the second.
By the way, if I'm Syndergaard, I have to have a shampoo contract. All right, someone has to sponsor me.
Especially now that DeGrom cut his hair.
Yeah, you just got the option. You have to have that.
Emails his agent every other day. Hey, man.
Still waiting.
Where's that product contract?
Yeah, come on now.
Who is that guy? I kind of see Jacob DeGrom in there. A fly to center field. Jackson will haul it in. And the Cubs do not score. The first time we haven't seen a run. It's 3-1 Mets after 2.
An official Cubs MasterCard debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
Lester to Frazier, and Todd fouls it. 3-1 Mets. Pretty neat moment for Frazier recently when the Mets played the Phillies in the Little League Classic in Williamsport. It's the 20th anniversary of the Toms River, New Jersey team winning it. Frazier did it all with the bat. He got the final out on the mound as well. Remember, he got some recognition from Derek Jeter. Seems like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
It was 20 years ago.
They took the field with the Yankees some time after that, and he was out there with Jeter.
He hit 600 in the tournament. So if you do the math, he was 12. He's now 32. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Lester into his motion. The 2-2 is a cutter off the outside.
Gotta be careful with Frazier. He's pretty good. Pitch out away from him. He gets extended. Ball down and away.
A pop up. He threw the bat down, almost interfered with Contreras as Rizzo makes the catch.
This Saturday night, country superstar Luke Bryan is bringing his What Makes You Country tour to the friendly confines. Opening acts include Sam Hunt, John Party, and Carly Pierce. Tickets are still available for the show at Cubs.com/concerts.
Very odd. 4 of the 7 outs recorded by Lester have been infield pop-ups. If I just gave you that stat before the game started, you'd probably say he hasn't given up a run.
Yeah, that kind of weak contact. Normally, the guy's on top of his game when that happens.
Conforto with a leadoff blast in the second. 1-1. I mentioned their injuries. Pretty long list. Darno, the catcher, Tommy John. The outfield's really been ravaged. Cespedes, Nimmo, Lagares. Jay Bruce recently came back from the DL.
Yeah, it's been, and again, it's been 2-3 years now where that's been the case over there. Cespedes is going to have surgery on both heels.
That feels major, doesn't it?
Yeah, Lagares has got a torn toe or something. Some funky stuff going on.
Travis gets it to Rizzo in time. As you enjoy Cold Miller Lite, look forward to the hold true moment later in tonight's game.
Well, he sure could use a quick inning here, and so far so good. 2 up, 2 down as he deals with Bautista.
Big swing and a miss. We'll give a congrats to our buddy Mitch Rosen, the operations director at the Cubs radio flagship, WSCR The Score. He will go into the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame. Well-deserved, Mitch. Keep you posted on Chris Bryant and Tyler Chatwood on rehab assignments with AAA Iowa. They're in Omaha tonight. Another infield pop-up. Murphy makes the catch. And that is a 1-2-3 third for John Lester. Still 3-1 New York. Cubs baseball summer camps here tonight at Wrigley Field for a special camp reunion to end the summer. Camps ran from June to August at locations all around Chicagoland, and the campers ranging from 5 to 13 of all different skill levels. And they were here early, and a couple of fans of ours, huh? Yelling.
All the
"Hey,
kids,
Len and JD."
they started screaming at us down there. They were fired up. They pay attention. They watch Cubs baseball. They're fired up. A lot of Baez on the back of those jerseys.
1-1 on Javi. Single and then caught stealing. In the first, he's got an 8-game hitting streak.
Cubs started the game double single, double single, and managed to score just the 1 run.
Syndergaard's 1-1 is hit into the corner and left, fair ball. That's 6 multi-hit games during this 8-game streak for Baez. He's 2 for 2.
Like he tried to go change up there, and it was up and in. That's almost never a good idea with a changeup. You see the little split circle grip, 91 miles an hour, speeds up the bat. If it's down and away, it can be effective. Up there, not so much. Baez makes him pay with a lead double.
Rizzo, an RBI 2-base hit in the first. Another excellent matchup on paper tomorrow. Jacob deGrom, the ERA leader, against Cole Hamels, who has been perfect so far as a Cub. We'll get Baez to third as Reyes throw out Rizzo.
Yeah, run support has been a big issue for Jacob deGrom, so just 8 and 8 despite that Major League best 171 ERA. Both guys with whips below 1. deGrom's entire body of work, the Hamels numbers, of course, since joining the Cubs.
It's going to be a fascinating Cy Young race.
Well, and it's interesting because on the next road trip, we start in Atlanta. Looks like it could be Fultonevich in that ball game, and then we also have the Nationals on that trip. Have to deal with Scherzer, perhaps Strasburg.
I don't think we'll see Nola in that Phillies series. We will not see Jake Arrieta. Concede a run, anything on the ground up the middle. It's by the pitcher.
Yeah, and with Javi being the base runner, ground ball anywhere, even to the corners, is a pretty good chance he's going to score. Especially with Frazier playing way off the line, he's able to take a very aggressive lead.
To first, and Baez hesitated as Ben broke his bat. That's a big out for Syndergaard.
Yeah, it wasn't solid. It was a cracked bat, but kind of a line drive. So you got a freeze initially. I think Javi made the right decision. Not going on contact, just a read play. It was more of a two-hopper. I thought it was hitting more on a line.
So here's my gut. If Javi doesn't get picked off in the first inning, I think he runs there. Just knowing how aggressive he is. And he might have been safe had he gone, but
I wouldn't have liked his chances.
I wouldn't either, but do you agree or disagree or have no opinion on whether
I think
the first inning affected what he did right here?
Butter might have told him you're going, not read it, not go on contact. He may have even said, middle of the diamond, you're going everywhere else, you're staying put. But yes, aside from that, if it was strictly his call, it's a good chance he might have tried it.
And I do think, a base runner like Baez, every once in a while, is going to get and probably should get caught. You can't be perfect, and it's a nice reminder that you're not perfect, and aggressive base runners almost can't be. So the good that comes from his base running, every once in a while you're going to see a play where he gets caught in a rundown or tries to steal third with 2 outs. So few things in this game do you only get positives. There's always a little yin and the yang, right?
Yeah, and he's
got more yin than yang, I guess.
He's waiting for an opportunity here on a bounce ball because he's really coming far down the line.
(3-1) on Hayward. Here it comes, and he walked him. Contreras will bat with 2 on, like he did in the first inning.
Syndergaard was a supplemental pick after the first round of the draft 2010 by the Blue Jays, and traded winner of 2012 over to the Mets. Big deal that sent R.A. Dickey to Toronto.
Made his major league debut here in 2015. That gets by. Here comes Baez. He will score. 3-2.
Syndergaard cannot be easy to catch because he throws so hard and has such good movement. This appeared to be a slider. He tried to pick it, and that's what cost him. If he just squares up behind it and uses his chest protector, he's probably okay. But you see the late movement there with the glove. Try to pick it.
Meantime, 2-0 on Contreras, with Hayward now in scoring position. And the pitch, it's a strike. Chris Bryant, the DH for the I-Cubs tonight. He's 0 for 2 with a run scored, batting second in the Iowa lineup. Tyler Chatwood has thrown 3 innings. He's given up 2 runs on 1 hit, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. I'm talking with Joe today. It might not be a long stay for Chris. If he feels good, he doesn't feel like he needs a lot of reps. If all goes well, we could see him this week, maybe in a couple of days.
Typically 2-3 games at game speed, and guys feel like they're ready to go.
That one slides through, and Hayward couldn't really get a good look at it.
Already in scoring position with 2 outs, so you don't want to do anything crazy here.
Full count, base open. Pitcher and catcher will talk it over together. A little hair over the ear maneuver. Do you miss that?
And then my hair was never long enough to do that.
Never that long?
I would do the push the hair across the top.
The forehead swipe.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have some long hair to do the behind the ear thing.
That's true. Jam shot roller. Tough play, Frazier. Infield hit. First and third.
Take what you can get. And a tough go for Wilson. A little weak contact turns into a knock. That one with his thumbs.
Schwarber will be intentionally walked because Lester is the next hitter. So John will bat with the bases loaded. And 2 outs in a 1-run game in the 3rd inning. I know you always got extra motivated when they walked the 8-hitter in front of you.
Darn right.
In this case, the 7-hitter with the pitcher batting 8th.
Don't let him do it to you, Big John.
That will get down. Cubs will get a couple. John Lester with a go-ahead 2-run single. It's 4-3.
How about that? Here's what you can do with your 98. Beautiful swing. He's now driven in 9.
He's knocked in 9 runs this season. Cubs lead this game 4-3. Their first lead of the night.
Assuming that leads all pitchers as 9 batted in.
I think so.
Now he's got to deal with Bodie.
We passed Tanner Roark, who's knocked in 8. Although one of John's RBIs came as a pinch hitter. So technically tied with Roark as a pitcher. Syndergaard's 1-0 to Bodie, misses outside.
Pitching away from contact. Funny, we thought the long ball would be the issue here. Cubs have not hit a home run, but they've had a lot of base runners. Syndergaard really not locked in at all. Seems to me like a guy who doesn't trust his fastball, and maybe he shouldn't after John Lester delivered that 2-run single on it.
Cubs have homered in a season best 11 consecutive games. The last time they hit a homer in 12 in a row was 2006.
Both these pitchers working awfully hard here, first third of the ball game, so unlikely that either guy is going to pitch deep into this one.
Two and two.
If you offered both managers a deal right now and said your starters are going to give you 5 tonight, they would say, okay, I'm in.
Syndergaard's from Mansfield, Texas. It's just south of Arlington. I mentioned the 38th overall pick, 2010. By the Blue Jays, he was not listed in Baseball America's top 200 going into that draft. Foul tip, strike 3. But John Lester comes through. The Cubs put up 3 in the inning. 1 on a wild pitch, 2 on the Lester single, and it's 4-3 after 3.
First pitch, 7:05. The first 10,000 early arriving fans will receive an Almago t-shirt presented by MasterCard. Tickets still available for this one. Cubs.com.
Timeout for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Remember this hit. The pitcher knocking in 2 after Kyle Schwarber had been intentionally walked with 2 outs.
So all the second guessing flipped from one side to the other. The Cub fans were probably thinking, man, this idea of hitting the pitcher 8th is not good. And now the Met fans are upset. Mickey Callaway intentionally walked a man and Lester made him pay. It's a beautiful thing about baseball.
1-0 on Jose Reyes. Doug Glanville is with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, awkward swing, but Reyes went around. How about that big hit by Lester?
Yeah, I mean, think about how he had no hits up until a few years ago in his career. But I was really surprised that the Mets, defensively, where they were playing, they were extremely deep and not that far on the opposite field side.
Hayward in center will make the grab.
Yes, so just on the positioning side, you're fairly. Now this is Syndergaard throwing 99 miles an hour, pitcher hitting, and he's fairly deep, and he's also kind of towards the straight up side of the outfield. So especially on an 0-1 pitch where you're much more defensive, it seemed like you'd be shifted a lot more and maybe even shallower. I know Lester has pop when he runs into one, but sometimes positioning will get you there. And I'm thinking as a center fielder, with the pitcher hitting and the guy throwing with that kind of velocity, you'd be much more shallow and much more overshaded to that side of the field.
Flipping left center, yep.
Yeah, and the wind is blowing out, so everybody's thinking deep, but with the pitcher up there, think you have to defend what's most likely to happen, and the ball in front of you is much more likely than the one over you.
Well, especially in a lot of pitchers I played with would tell you, like, well, hey, if I get beat by the pitcher over your head, that that's my mistake. To run into that kind of pitch.
Called strike 3. That's 6 straight set down by Lester. Xfinity X1 customers say, show me the Chicago Cubs into your X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1.
Juan Lagares would have caught that ball in center field.
Really, he's really good.
It was very shallow.
And strike on Syndergaard. He walked in the 2nd inning. Just missed inside. Now, you just had a birthday, Doug, but I'm trying to make you feel young. We could call Jose Reyes a contemporary of yours because your last couple of years in the big leagues were his first 2 years.
Okay. I can work with that.
I have to say that because we probably won't see Bartolo Colon since he pitches in the other league. Trying to think of some other guys who've been around. Adrian Beltre.
Oh yeah. Oh, I bunted on him once when he was with the Dodgers, and I was so confident in how good a bunt it was. I practically took a turn going into first, and he barehanded threw his missile throw. And I was like, who is that guy? And so yeah, that was my introduction to Adrian Beltre.
I think he debuted as a 19-year-old with the Dodgers. 3-2 on Syndergaard. And a broken bat pop-up. And Schwarber, the left fielder, makes the catch. Back-to-back 1-2-3s for Lester, leading 4-3.
First pitch 7:05, and up to the first 10,000 early arriving fans will take home a Cubs digital alarm clock presented by NG. Tickets still available at Cubs.com.
We'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on Butler Bremer Communications in Plainfield, Iowa tonight. Degrees as we got started. A very stiff wind going out toward the center field scoreboard. Murphy, Baez, and Rizzo here in the 4th.
Murphy has made a habit out of beating up on his former club.
Murphy had a nice Mets career. He had a great postseason in 2015. And you look back now and you say, well, why didn't the Mets re-sign him? There really wasn't much of a chance he was going to be re-signed. Since he left the Mets, he's taken it to another level.
Yeah, and they had to see it coming the way he performed in 2015. No do-overs, no mulligans. It's a hard business that way.
1-2. Murphy takes on his former team and has haunted them since the day he left as he takes on the Mets. Brought to you by AARP. That was going into action tonight. And he continues to torment his former employer.
It is just so impressive to watch. It's Wade Boggs with pop. Twice led the National League in doubles. That was in Nationals uniform 2016 and 17. I mean, look at that. In 2016, he finished second to Chris Bryant in the MVP voting. Led the league in slugging and OPS that year. Now, Syndergaard is having a nice career. He's made 79 starts. He's 33-21 with a 3. So he certainly has the weapons and tools to pitch at a very high level. The point I made earlier in the game about I don't see a lot of deception in his delivery. You know, he doesn't need it, but if he had it, he would probably be even tougher. It looks to me that there's not a lot of funk going on. It's pretty straightforward.
Swing and a miss. It's 0-2.
If the quality of your pitches is good, the execution is good, and you throw 99, you're going to be fine.
Got him on an 0-2. Doug, let's go back to Daniel Murphy's swing.
Yeah, when you look at Murphy, and what's so impressive, you know, a lot of times a low pitch you can collapse your whole body. Look how he kind of stays tall enough, and his pivot, like you talk about his back foot, he's not even rotating it. He kind of kept it planted, and that makes that swing all hands. I mean, his back foot, usually you kind of squash the bug, you rotate that, and your hips come forward. He just kind of kept it flat and just let his hands do the work, almost like a tennis player. He's guiding the ball where he wants it, and that's what makes him so difficult to defend.
Rizzo smacks one to center, and it'll be caught as Jackson left his feet and just robbed Rizzo of a hit. Anthony's not sure of the call, but it's an out.
Yeah, this is a tough play for a center fielder. I mean, the ball's hit right at you. Look at the ball hooking almost like a knuckleball, cutting from right center towards left center. And so he almost has to two-hand it because he knows it's taking this late movement. It looks like he got his glove just under it, just in time.
Murphy wasn't sure what the call was. Neither was Rizzo. Had it been trapped, they would have had an out at second either way. So here's Zobrist with 2 down. And takes up and outside, ball 1.
Yeah, I love the tennis analogy, Doug, with Murphy's swing, because as you watch it, it's exactly what I thought. It looked like a two-handed backhand.
Yeah, I mean, not using that back leg, it's like I'll sacrifice power to make sure I make strong and solid contact.
Another wide one.
It almost seems like he does it on the fly. He adjusts it. And, you know, think about it as a defender. You're standing in the outfield looking at this, and you're seeing a pitch, and you're anticipating where a guy might hit it. And Murphy has the ability to take multiple pitches in the same location and hit it all over the field. So which way do you anticipate with him? And You know, as a center fielder with Austin Jackson, for example, you're in your set position, and you're always cheating. It's like, okay, catcher's setting up on the outer corner. I can cheat this way. So you start to inch as the pitch is going into the zone. But with Murphy, like a Derek Jeter type, he hits the ball so late, you can't really tell where the ball's going to be, and you're that split second late on your jump.
Syndergaard back in it, 2-2. Then with a single in the first is now 5 hits shy of 1,500 in his major league career. Set, and the 2-2 is pulled foul. They might have been asking Eric Cooper. Are umpires good about it, Doug, when you'll ask them if that was a strike when you hit a foul, in terms of whether it was in the zone?
For me, everything was a strike. So, you know, I was up there hacking. I don't know if I really asked. I don't know if I ever asked that question.
Hit pretty well out into deep left, and caught on the back pedal by Conforto. That one took off like a rocket, but for a very loud third out. 4-3 Cubs as we head to the 5th.
Fan to appoint as the next Cubs authentic fan of the game, someone who supports the team through thick and thin. Do you have what it takes? Enter at NBCSportsChicago.com/CubsAF. Birthday shout out to Maureen Horrego, Horrego, the ballpark tonight. She's from Goshen, New York. She's celebrating her 53rd. Assuming she's a Cub fan, but I'm not sure. Hey, he didn't swing.
He does this time, and it goes right through David Bodie and into left. So an error on David.
We'll tighten up a little bit. Rosario's got speed. The threat to bunt cuts down on the reaction time just a wee bit. Right through the 5-hole goes Rosario. An error, but again, a sharply struck ball by Rosario.
Jackson 2 for 2 with an RBI. And a nice catch in center. He's been good as a Met.
Huge lead for Rosario.
Not running, and the pitch is wide. Jackson came in at .317 in 29 games with the Mets. And average going up with the 2 hits tonight.
Rosario getting a little bit more. If he doesn't get back, though, Contreras is going to pick him off.
There's the throw, and they've got him. Nice throw by Lester. Baez applies the tag.
Well, that'll put an end to that.
It's amazing how when he does throw, and it's rare, the first move by most runners is back. But when you're that far off the bag, if you head back to first, invariably you're going to be out.
Yeah, well, if he throws and he doesn't bounce it or throw it over Riz's head, you're out. You're just banking on him not coming over. Because that's what the scouting report says. He never comes over. But it's not never. It's just almost never.
It's like medium risk with your portfolio. Risk is risk, right? So 2 outs.
Here's an odd note. The Mets are batting .214 back at Citi Field. By far the worst in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, they've been a lot better on the road.
.256 on the road. I mean, batting average isn't everything, but that's a huge spread. I don't know what the record is for home batting average for a team in a season, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out the Mets are knocking on the door. And the record reflects it. They are 30-32 on the road, just a couple games under 500. 28-40 in their home ballpark.
We'll find out after the season. The Mets have petitioned to play 120 games on the road next year.
That whole home cooking thing doesn't apply to the Mets this year. Bad juju going on at Citi Field.
Well, this has been an impressive comeback for John Lester after 2 very rough innings to start this game. But foul.
Yeah, and we've seen games like this get away from him over the last couple of years. Not often, but from time to time, not able to rein it back in, and a great job tonight. Under tough circumstances, too, with the heat and the wind blowing out.
Ready to work on a 2-2. And a bouncer to Bodie. Makes the play. So Lester helps out his third baseman by picking off Rosario, and the Cubs still lead 4-3 in the 5th. The Cubs take on the Pirates as they celebrate Hispanic Heritage Night here at Wrigley Field. All participants who purchase tickets through the Community Nights page receive a Los Cubs t-shirt. For more info and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com/communitynights. That'll start the final homestand of the season. Jason Hayward cuts and misses. Bottom 5 Cubs, 4 Mets, 3. Happy to have Bob Odenkirk with us tonight. He'll conduct the stretch. We'll chat with him in the 7th. A fly ball out in the left. Conforto.
See, that disproves the point everybody always says on a night like tonight. Anything in the air tonight in that direction is going to blow out of you. Not anything. Happy birthday, Nora Marshall. Husband Chip. Wanted to pass that along. Celebrating here at the ballpark tonight. Not Nick and Nora, but Chip and Nora.
It's the curve from Syndergaard. Oh, 0-2. White Sox have a late lead at the Yankees, 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th. Yankees just engineered a 4-game sweep at Baltimore to pull to within 6 of the lead in the East. Red Sox got swept at Tampa Bay.
If you love baseball, you can't miss the best baseball show in town, Baseball Night in Chicago, presented by Chick-fil-A. Join Scott Podsednik, Brian Anderson, Layla Rahimi as they break down the biggest stories surrounding the Cubs and the White Sox Thursday, 6:30 on NBC Sports Chicago. We're going to break it down for you.
Happy 48th birthday, Jim Thome. Born on this date, 1970. Eddie Bell, number 67. BMAC, Brian McRae, turning 51. Happy birthday to all. Outside on Kyle Schwarber. Big series in Houston. The Athletics and the Astros 5-4 Houston in the bottom of the 5th tonight. The Astros by 1.5 in the West.
They have won 5 in a row after being in a little bit of a downturn.
Brett Anderson got knocked out in the 3rd inning. Garrett Cole pitching for Houston. Schwarber pops it up. Pilecki looking for some room. He's got it. And the Cubs go 1-2-3 for the first time tonight. That'll take us to the 6th. It's 4-3.
Light game report. David Bodie already with a hit tonight, filling in at third base. Of course, Chris Bryant starting his rehab assignment in Iowa. And Bodie mentioned the other day that both Brandon Kinsler and Daniel Murphy had stepped up to him, just letting him know what a great job he's doing. And having followed up with Daniel Murphy, he said, yeah, it's important to let a guy know, especially a young guy, that he's just going about his business the right way. And this guy is filling some big shoes, and he's doing it in such a professional manner, Daniel Murphy said. And he went on, guys, it was interesting to say, I'm not sitting in this dugout probably with the Cubs right now if it wasn't for his grand slam, of course, against the Nationals. How about that for some irony?
Yeah, that's right. It kind of felt like that ruined the Nationals season. And shortly after, we went into sell mode. There's Todd Frazier in the 6th inning. Curve for a strike.
Ooh, good changeup.
Since 2012, only Nolan Arenado has more home runs among all third basemen than Todd Frazier. That's an awkward cut. Pitch to hit, but he popped it up again. So he's 0 for 3. He's popped to second, to first, and to first.
I think a guy would rather strike out 3 times than do that.
I think you're right.
With the swing and the miss, there's potential there. If only I'd hit it, that might have gone 600 feet. That wind is whipping out there. Big John, man, a couple innings ago, I thought both these pitchers would be lucky to get through 5. He's rolling now.
A homer and a strikeout. If he were to honor Jim Thome tonight, he'd take a walk in this plate appearance.
Why is that?
Well, it would be a 3 true outcome night for Conforto. Homers, walks, and strikeouts. Who needs BABIP? 1-1 is downstairs. Everything low in this sequence. Kendrys Morales in the Blue Jays lineup tonight in Baltimore. DHing, batting third, but he's 0 for 3. And the Jays are down 7-0 in the top of the 9th. He has homered in 7 consecutive games. And a homer tonight would have tied the major league record. They're not done yet.
Shared by 3, Dale Long, Don Mattingly, Ken Griffey Jr.
Full count on Conforto. Left on left changeup. Yep. And there it is. Corner, strikeout, walk.
Well, Bautista not having a big year, coming towards the end of the line, but still dangerous. On a night like tonight. He was an early adopter of this, get up on top of the plate and pull the ball, hit it as hard as you can. Early adopter in that he was one of the first guys to do it. Now it took him a little while to get to that point.
Yeah, he was kind of just a guy. He bounced around a bunch and then was kind of a super utility guy with the Pirates. Really blossomed in Toronto.
Uppercut swing, 54 home runs in 2010 to lead the league. Led the league the following year with 43. Made 6 consecutive All-Star teams, 2010 through 15, all with Toronto.
Left-hander Jerry Blevins. Throw to first. Save. Porto was well offshore, but able to get back in.
Paddling frantically.
Mr. looks in. There's the sign. And here's his 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. You can follow our Cubs insiders on NBCSportsChicago.com. Presented by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media. Nationwide is on your side. Reyes playing second base. Lifetime 6 for 36 against John Lester. At the end of his career, he is the active leader in triples with 130. 517 stolen bases. Conforto at first, 2 outs. The 1-1 from Lester is top foul.
Reyes is a real force at the top of the batting order in his prime. High average hitter, had decent power too. He's hit 145 home runs in his career. Topping out with 19 back in 06. He had 15 home runs last year. It's interesting. I don't know what the Mets have down on the farm, but you would think if we get into the final month of the season, they would want these at bats going to some young prospects, guys they could take a look at and evaluate for the future.
And again, it sounds like McNeil will be back in there tomorrow as Lester makes the catch. On his backside retires Jose Reyes. So he'll walk off the field in the 6th inning with a 4-3 lead.
He's driving in runs. He's making plays. Doing it all.
field coverage. John Lester with a great play. And it ended up being the final pitch of his night. Looked it for a pinch hitter. A quality start for John. Yep.
Yeah, it's hot out, folks.
He worked hard. Go ahead 2-run single in the 3rd inning.
Picked off a base runner.
Checked all the boxes, didn't he? 2-0 on the pinch hitter, LaStella. Tommy without a home run this season. Looks like it'll be Steve Cishek in the 7th. Here it comes, and it's bounced to the second baseman Reyes for the first out. The Fallout Boy is coming home to play Wrigley Field Saturday, September 8th, with special guests Rise Against and Machine Gun Kelly. Don't miss out on the final concert of the season here at Wrigley Field. Tickets are on sale now at Cubs.com/concerts. David Bodie, 1 for 2. I mentioned the Cubs are 4-0 against the Mets this season. And it bounces right to Reyes. That's good scouting. 2015, the Cubs won all 7 in the regular season series against the Mets, and then the Mets swept the Cubs in the NLCS. It was a very odd turn of events. I'm pretty sure, as we analyzed things going into that NLCS, we said the regular season series doesn't really mean much. And boy, did it mean nothing.
Yeah, if anything, it might have meant that the Cubs were due to lose a game or 2 to the Mets. That's what just, and I remember when we saw them in New York that summer over at their place. They were in a bad way. They weren't hitting at all. Yep. That's the thing with you only see these teams outside of the division once a year at your place, once at their place. So the when matters a lot. Who's healthy, how the pitching lines up.
Well, the Mets saw the Cardinals. The entire season series was played by April 26th. And we're talking to some Mets people. They were asking about the Cardinals. They said, yeah, we saw them early. They just didn't look right. But, 4 months later,
yeah, it's
almost a different team.
Man, yeah. You can't. Very difficult to draw conclusions. Or I guess it's not difficult to draw conclusions, but for me to have any kind of real conviction when you see a team 3 games in May, I think that's what they're all about.
Third time Murphy has been on base.
I would be in favor of scuttling the whole interleague thing, just to have more series with the East and the West.
I like seeing every team in our league in each half, or at least close to that, as opposed to having series where you almost do a home and home over the course of 10 to 14 days, and that's it. And one of the things is, building rivalries within a division. Those rivalries are set at this point when you play 19 times. Murphy runs, swing and a miss by Baez, and Daniel Murphy steals second base. Second steal of the season.
Not a real big lead, but got a nice jump. We talked earlier about Syndergaard being so slow to the plate. As you get later in the ball game, we questioned the prudence of running early in the game on a night like tonight. But as you get later into the ball game and things settle in, the one run strategy becomes more in play.
I think Cubs Mets, Cubs Phillies. Those are
Cubs Dodgers.
Yeah, those are
Giants,
fun.
Yeah, I'd rather see
matchups. So to see maybe a few more of those games at the expense of more Cubs Reds or Pirates or even Cardinals. Maybe there's a happy medium in there somewhere. Popped up. How about this idea? Keeping interleague play to Central, West, West, East, East, and building geographic rivalries across leagues. So you have Cubs play the White Sox, but every year play Minnesota, Cleveland. We'll cut down on some travel.
Yeah, there's merit to that.
That seems to be the next thing. Is we have 4 more off days built into the schedule, but maybe cutting some team travel a little bit. The Mariners would love that. The Marlins, teams that are in tough places to get to. And every flight's just about 2.5 to 3 hours minimum.
National League Central has it best. Year in and year out, you look at total miles traveled, and teams in the Central usually at the bottom.
I got a travel note that I need to get in. After 2 to Baez outside. This is the first game the Mets have played outside the Eastern time zone since June 21st at Colorado. They played 58 consecutive games in the Eastern time zone. That doesn't really mean anything. It's just, I thought, kind of fun. Swing and a miss, and we'll go to the 7th. A chat with Bob Odenkirk. Cubs lead 4-3 as they'll go to the bullpen next. Hold true moment. Houston Jackson cut down. Javi Baez caught the rundown. And a pickoff. of Rosario. We talked about base running tonight. Don't want to make too many outs on the bases. We've seen 3 to this point. Here's Steve Cishek. Cubs lead 4-3. 7th inning.
Cishek has been on quite a roll. He's dropped his ERA down to 168. 13 consecutive appearances without allowing a run.
Plawecki at the plate. Jeff McNeil, a pinch hitter, is on deck. And the great Bob Odenkirk is in the booth with us.
Oh my goodness,
and
thank you.
There are levels of making it in this business, Bob. One is to be invited to sing the stretch at Wrigley.
That's right.
The next level, which is the highest level, and this one is trouble to left. And it's going to tie the game. Home run, Plawecki.
All right, I got to start singing because I got to change the tide.
Yes, you do. But you've reached the highest level, and that is you're invited back every year to sing.
That's it. It doesn't get any higher. You can't. There's no honor above it. I would say, growing up in Chicago.
Yeah, I know it means a lot to you to do this, and we're so proud of you. And it's also a little strange. It's a Monday night. Better Call Saul is on, so we're all running the DVRs tonight while we watch Cubs baseball.
AMC's really mad at me right now. You're not watching your own show. I kind of know what happens.
Did you tweet everybody and say, hey, watch the Cub game tonight?
That would really get me in hot water. They pay me pretty good.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm going to go watch it. I'll watch it on the DVR as well. My DVR is jam-packed with shows about hoarders. That's the problem. I want to see the hoarder show, and I don't know which one I missed.
Ball 1 on McNeil.
So you hoard shows about hoarding,
That's the joke.
Yeah.
You and I, we could be a team. I tell it, you explain it.
So rookie Jeff McNeil is off to a great start, and he fouls it back. So I was going to ask you, do you watch Saul like the rest of us do when it comes out on a Monday night?
I do. I can't keep track of what's happening when I'm acting. I just play the moment and forget what happened, and then I get to watch it just like you and be surprised.
You know the whole season arc before the season starts.
Well, I don't. They could tell me, but I don't want to know.
It's probably better, right?
Yeah.
No.
It's more fun that way. I get to be surprised by myself.
Well, I had a thought when I was watching last week's episode, and it was this, and I'm going to tell you that thought.
I want to hear it.
That there have been so many great actors from Breaking Bad who have been blended into Saul almost on an episode-by-episode basis.
Yeah.
So it's good for the viewer to go, oh, I remember her, or I remember him. But it's great for the actors, too, and I have to believe they're thrilled to be a part of this series, too.
They are. People love being a part of this whole saga of these shows and the challenges to make us all look younger. But that's done with very special elastic clips and pins that go in the back of your neck.
Is there a more beautifully shot show in the history of television? Other than maybe Breaking Bad, which was amazing too.
They do a wonderful job. Beautiful stuff. Well, Albuquerque looks great on screen.
Here's Rosario with 1 out. So the acting thing is there for you, but you always have a lot of other things going on.
I do have too much cooking.
So what is happening with you?
I am I'm writing a memoir of my time in Chicago comedy, and going all the way up to Breaking Bad and The Post, the Spielberg film I did a year and a half ago. And so it's Second City and starting out here with all my friends, Jeff Garland and Stephen Leo and Lou Schneider, great people who went on to big careers, all of them.
That's great. Do you have an idea of when you want this book to be finished?
In about forever.
Okay.
Whenever I learn to write. Uh-oh, what's going on?
Hayward for out number 2.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm in on that. Man.
Well done. Well done. Good catch. Yeah.
Movie projects?
Movie projects. Working. I can't say. I can't say. It was a delight to be a part of The Incredibles 2 this last summer. This summer we're in right now. It's still out there in theaters. But, gosh,
Secret?
they won't let you tell.
It's okay.
I'll tell you is this, I'm training. I have to train for this. So whatever that you derive from that.
Okay.
Rocky 9.
I'm Rocky 9. Old Rocky. Old Dad Rocky.
One is in there for a strike. It's 0-2. I miss Chuck. I got to tell you.
Yeah, Michael McKean's great. Well, you don't have to miss him too long. We'll see what happens. Flashbacks are all over the place in my show, so we'll see. Hang in there.
You two together on screen is pretty special.
Two guys who came from comedy. Michael McKeon, the great Michael McKeon from Spinal Tap.
Yep.
And the great Credibility Gap, a comedy radio show. That's the legendary.
All right, you ready to sing?
Oh, geez, do I have to sing? I want to say hi to my niece, Virginia Odenkirk, whose birthday is today.
Awesome. Brought to you by St. Xavier University. Here's Bob Odenkirk.
Chicago native Bob Odenkirk.
Hey, everybody. Let's see who can sing loudest. I've got a mic. A 1 and a 2. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Come on. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some roll!
Off Cechek, and left-hander Jerry Blevins, former Cub farmhand, will work to Anthony Rizzo to start the Cubs 7th.
It's the third home run Cechek has allowed this year, so no decision for John Lester despite a very solid effort tonight. This one will be decided by the bullpens.
A tough no decision for Lester. He really had a great night.
He really worked so hard, and it was just impressive the way he responded to getting knocked around there early. Kind of like a fighter, took one on the chin, but punched his way out of the corner and really delivered.
One and one to Rizzo. You see the Mets over shifting. Intrigued by Bob Odenkirk's new project, his training. On the inside corner. 1-2. Blevins, a 17th rounder of the Cubs out of the University of Dayton in 2004. He's now 34 years old. He made his big league debut with Oakland in 07.
Throw a bunch of curveballs. He does not throw hard. Velocity, fastball velocity is a couple clicks below major league average. Specialty left-handers, 52 appearances this year, 34 innings.
The Mets have hit the home runs tonight. Conforto in the second, Kolecki in the seventh. Three and two.
Mets got thumped 15-0 yesterday. It was close until late in the game, and then their bullpen absolutely got torched by the Nationals. Evans was not a part of that. Drew Smith, Daniel Zamora. A couple of rookies.
Left field, and it's a foul ball. Brian Butterfield telling Joe Madden might want to take a look at it. Call made by Gary Cedarstrom at third. It was really close. Here's our best look. Ooh, man. And Joe will challenge. Why not? We're in the seventh inning. I look like it hit the paint.
Sure did. We need John McEnroe on this. It's fair ball. Be fairly easy to overturn.
And then they have to place the runner. It should be at second base with nobody out.
Be his second double of the ball game. I usually waffle on these, but I'm going all in. That's a fair ball.
So Rizzo will have to run to first and then to second. Although it would be cool if he just ran across the grass. Probably wouldn't be allowed to do that. Zobrist batting right-handed. An inside move and fake to second.
Men's batting better than 300 from both sides of the plate this year. All of his home runs have come as a left-handed batter. Doesn't need a home run here. Single will get the job done. Ground ball to the right side would be acceptable as well.
Fastball is taken outside. Oh, wait, I didn't even notice. Did that ball bounce out of play?
I don't know.
If it had, it would have been automatic second base. I didn't realize it had. So, yeah, that's even an easier call.
Check out that move. Okay, and you need some time to regroup and think it over. And Plawecki not on the same page here. Wow. Lemon's like, remember, I've got that backdoor breaking pit. Oh, yeah. We can try that. Mickey Callaway, they got off to a great start, the Mets did, and then they went south in a hurry. Had a terrible month of May. And a lot of people were screaming and yelling in New York, not giving Callaway much of a honeymoon. The media was all over him, the fans. That's calmed down now.
11-1 to start the year, 47 and 71 cents. Wanted foul by Zobrist. It's 2-1.
Phillies, Nationals, and Mets all with rookie managers.
Four tie, 2-2 count. Levens to the plate. And Zobrist got a piece of it. Hot night here at Wrigley, wind blowing out. Try another 2-2 and a drive out into deep left center. Off the wall. Here comes Rizzo. Cubs lead 5-4.
Trading places. Leadoff double, Rizzo. Zobrist with his second hit of the night. He's been on all night long. Last time up, he hit a deep drive to left for an out. This time, he finds the ivy. Great at bat.
Back-to-back doubles to start the inning. And the Cubs have their lead again.
Murphy, Baez, Rizzo, Zobrist, all with 2 hits tonight.
Foul to first. First run Blevins has allowed in a month and a half. He was last charged with a run on July 15th. The final day of the first half. This is 0-1. It's outside. Curveball. throw is going to be late. Hayward's on with a hit. 3 in a row to start the 7th.
Nice response here in the bottom of the inning. This is a play a young Reyes would have made. He's not a young Reyes anymore. Callaway's going to make a pitching change.
Looks like right-hander Drew Smith will come in when we come back. 5-4 Cubs in the 7th. For just $49.99, watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer. Time now for the BioFreeze call to the pen, official external pain relief of the Chicago Cubs. Rookie right-hander Drew Smith makes his 14th appearance.
So far so good for him. A 1.84 ERA through 14 2/3. And a 2.76 down at AAA.
Contreras fouls out of play off the first.
That's got him from Tampa last summer in the Lucas Duda deal. Started his career with the Tigers. Professional career. 3rd round pick in the 2015 draft.
Fastball strike.
Pretty good carry on that 4-seamer.
Zobrist third, Hayward first. Nobody out. And Contreras did not go. 1-2. The game is over in Baltimore. The Orioles shut out the Jays 7-0. So the home run streak is over on Kendrys Morales. That's 7 games. The Orioles ended an 8-game losing streak with that win. Two-two and a bouncer to Reyes. They'll get 1. That is it. And Wilson will get an RBI. Zobrist scores at 6-4. 2-run lead here in the 7th.
Nice little add-on run there. Down on the count, a couple of strikes. He hangs in there, makes contact, and plays. It could be a very important run.
It is a Gallagher insurance run. Schwarber 0 for 2 with an intentional walk.
He had the other lefty, Zamora, up. Opts to stay with the young right-hander Smith here. Let's have 4 guys in their bullpen that have made their major league debut this year.
White Sox beat the Yankees 6-2 in the Bronx. Sox have won 4 in a row. And 10 of 13. They had their first winning month of the season. They're 15-10 here in August. We'll see the White Sox in September on the south side.
Yeah, they're sneaking up on Detroit for 3rd place in the American League Central.
Carlos Rodon now 5-0 with a 184 in his last 9 starts.
They're starting to look up on the south side. How about Baltimore? They're winning the race to the bottom. They came into play tonight with a .282 winning percentage. 52.5 games out of first place in the American League East.
Joe Sheehan in his newsletter wrote about possible history being made in terms of games behind the Orioles. 1-2 on Schwarber.
The expansion Mets finished, I believe, 60 games out.
Down by Plawecki. The record for most games behind since the 3-division format began in '94. Well, take a guess.
Boy. Marlins after they dumped everybody.
1998, 52 games out.
The year after winning the World Series.
Ground ball into right. That'll send Contreras to 3rd. Cubs are as good as anybody in the league doing that. Push to 3rd on a single.
Schwarber joins the hit parade. Cubs now have 13 base hits in this game. They make a habit of that lately too. 10, 11, 12, 13 hits per game. Constant pressure as Contreras goes flying into 3rd.
The '98 Marlins also have the division era record back to 1969. But the other interesting record the Orioles could break is the most games behind the next to last place team. Okay, so they were 23.5 behind Toronto before winning tonight, so they're 22.5 behind the 4th place Blue Jays. The '69 Padres hold the record 29 games behind the Astros. So that's 29 games behind the next worst team.
Yeah, and it's, one thing for an expansion team to do it.
Mora went on a pitch that bounced in front of home plate. 0-2 on the pinch hitter. Well, let's look at the East, and that's with the Orioles winning their game tonight. Smith on an 0-2, and he got him.
It's a real good curveball he features. Very sharp, tight breaker. Yeah, it's not good when the high point of your season was reporting to camp. What's gone on with Baltimore this year.
Carl Edwards Jr. Pedro Strop getting stretched out. Ball one to Bodie. Every starting player for the Cubs has a hit, including the pitcher Lester, who gave them the lead in the third. Third missed.
Yeah, that was the play of the game. Really came after the intentional walk to Schwarber with 2 outs.
Charged with 2 runs here in the 7th. Smith now working. And he's going full on Bodie.
Quality pitch there, 98 at the knees on 3-1.
The first baseman Flores will play behind the runner Schwarber. Contreras, the runner at third. Schwarber takes off, and the pitch called strike 3. To end the 7th, Cubs get the lead again and add some insurance. It's 6-4 as we go to the 8th. Beverage Depot. John Lester, the man tonight. Denny's Beverage Depot is the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs.
Picking guys off, snatching line drives, hitting line drives. 6 innings of 3-run ball. Unfortunately, no decision. A big part of where the Cubs are in this one here tonight. The efforts of John Lester. Almora takes over in center.
New outfield: Zobrist, Almora, Hayward. Not a new outfield, just a new configuration. And it's Carl Edwards Jr. here in the 8th inning.
2/3 of an inning Friday against the Reds. That was his lone appearance in that series. No hits, no runs. He walked a man. 3-2, 236 on the year for the string being slinger.
Flores takes up and in. Mets will try to mount the late comeback. In the middle of their order currently. And a foul strike.
Carl maybe has something bugging him a little bit, the way he's lifting that leg up after the pitch. That little move right there. He's done that after each pitch.
Mechanical reminder. Hmm. 2-2. Flores plays all 4 infield spots. Signed on his 16th birthday, 2007. Big league debut on his 22nd birthday in 2013. Takes a tough curveball and it's full with Frazier on deck.
Forever endeared himself to Met fans a couple of years ago when it was announced that he'd been traded. Had a shot of him out on the field. He was playing at the time. Tears rolling down his cheeks.
Yeah, there were reports he and Zach Wheeler were headed to the Brewers. A deal that never came to be. A couple days later, hit a game-ending home run, and that really solidified his place in team lore. And ended up being an everyday player that postseason after Ruben Tejada had his leg broken in a division series. Out into right center, Almora and Hayward. It'll be the Gold Glover, Jason Hayward, to cut it off. That looked like it was going to get down. Nicely done.
No such luck, Wilmer. Hayward's on the case.
Tough night so far for Frazier. 3 infield pop-outs.
I once saw a guy pop out for the cycle. One to each infield position.
Frazier, with his pre-pitch setup and his routine, has kind of a mini Johnny Gomes thing going on with his helmet.
I'm not familiar with the Johnny Gomes thing.
You'll see it. Right there. Gomes used to really play with his helmet. Frazier does it, but not quite to the extent Gomes did. You don't remember that, huh? If I showed it to you, you'd go, oh, yeah,
well,
that
I
thing.
could picture it kind of up and down multiple. You know,
Yes.
I've seen guys do that. I would never have.
Yeah, he did that at every pitch.
If there was a who's that guy, and it was like a silhouette of somebody doing that to their helmet. No clue.
Baez will glove and throw to first.
You're much stronger, though, on player idiosyncrasies than I am. I'm trying to picture the Chuck Knobloch batting glove tightening and all the fidgeting Nobby used to do. Like Hargrove, the human rain delay.
And strike to Conforto. Hasn't put a ball in play. Now you might say, well, Lenny's hit a home run, but the ball in play would be one a defender could handle.
This home run was his 19th.
To first, nice job, Edwards. As the Mets go in order, 6-4 Cubs late.
NBC Sports Chicago. The Cubs wrap up the homestand against the Mets before an 11-game road trip. Coverage begins at 12:30, or if you're stuck at work, you can stream the game live on the NBC Sports app.
New pitcher, rookie Daniel Zamora, another guy who has made his big league debut this season.
Yeah, he skipped AAA. He pitched 40 times down at AA, had a 3.48 ERA there, just 5 appearances with the Mets. There was a lot of sliders. Slurvy breaking ball.
1-1 to Murphy. Doesn't happen often, but occasionally you'll find a guy like Zamora, a 27th round pick out of high school. In 2012 by the Blue Jays, and then 3 years later out of Stony Brook, 40th round pick of the Pirates. And 13 rounds later, 3 years later.
Maybe had some injury problems in college.
Swing and a miss. He just struck out Murphy. Hefty home run time. Career homers against the Mets. Rizzo, Hayward, and Murphy at the top.
That he went to high school in California and ended up playing his college ball at Stony Brook in New York.
Two more hits tonight for Baez. Just look at some of his numbers. 298 on the year, so a chance to hit 300 this season. Still a long way to go. Good chance to hit 30 homers, knock in over 100. 30 stolen bases would be fun too, as he takes a called third. So 2 down here in the 8th. And it will be Rizzo. Doubled to open the bottom of the 7th. Originally a ball down the left field line called foul. Cubs challenged it. He reversed it via replay. And then he scored on the Zobrist double. Back there and gone for number 22.
What a roll Anthony Rizzo is on. The reigning National League Player of the Week. He's having a huge month. You know, a while back it seemed like those numbers that we always pencil in for Anthony, the 30 home run, 100 RBI season, was unattainable. I'm not so sure anymore. He is really locked in. Beautiful swing of the bat on the sweeping breaking ball from Zamora.
His 1,001st hit as a Chicago Cub, or Ford home run replay. The Cubs now have their longest home run streak since 2006. 12 games with at least one home run.
This American Legion week is working out pretty well for the Cubs.
By the way, I'm told I spoiled something from last season a year ago on Better Call Saul.
Oh, really?
People were upset. So in light of that, I will just tell you, I'm not going to give away the final score of the United States versus the Soviets in the semifinal game in 1980.
That was heartbreaking. Sequestered myself in my dorm room all day long.
Give it away. So bounces back to the pitcher. And that will do it. And if you are watching the 2016 Cubs season, I will not tell you how that finished up either. Rizzo with a home run. Cubs lead by 3 as we go to the 9th. Pedro Strop. It is a save opportunity. His team leads by 3. This is his 499th Major League appearance.
Charged with the blown save on Friday against Cincinnati when Suarez took him deep to tie the ball game, and Bodie hit the game-winning home run in the 10th.
Will this be Jose Bautista's final plate appearance as a Met? Reports he was claimed by the Phillies, and that Mets and Phils working on a potential trade. Zobrist now moving in to play second base for Murphy. Happ is the new left fielder. One question is, who will be the Mets general manager next year? They're currently being run by 3 assistants to Sandy Alderson, who had to unfortunately step down mid-season due to a return of cancer. John Rico, J.P. Ricciardi, and Omar Banaya running the baseball department. Three and 1.
Bautista, his game plan here tonight is try to hit the ball as far as humanly possible. He is taking some very aggressive swings.
And he just drew a leadoff walk. And here comes Reyes.
As you get older, the bat slows down a little bit. You have to cheat to get to the fastball, and you become very vulnerable to the breaking pitch. That's what we saw from Bautista when we saw him earlier this year when he was with Atlanta. The David Wright saga continues. He's down in the minor leagues.
I hope he makes it back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while since he's been on a major league diamond.
So Strop needs to find the strike zone here. David Wright last played in 2016, 37 games. He hasn't played since due to injury. And Contreras will head out. Rizzo might give him the
Rizzo stare.
Stare.
Here comes All the infield and Hickey as Wilson and Chavez heated up and out in the bullpen. And you can feel the anxiety in the ballpark a little bit as he continues to misfire here.
I love Jim Hickey's body language, right? He's just got a real, hey man, we're just real relaxed, positive, no big deal. Veteran pitching coach who has it down. You end up repeating a lot of the same things, but it's body language, tone, that matters a lot.
Certain buzzwords for certain guys.
Good visit. 2-1 to Reyes.
A lot of times it'll end with, hey, what do you want to throw here? All right, fastball. Okay, make it a good one. Down and away. Square one.
Chop toward the middle. Zobrist, Baez, and he will not make a throw. Reyes doesn't run like he used to, but that ball was not hit hard enough to turn it. And it will bring up Plawecki, who has walked, struck out, homered to tie the game, and scored twice. Born in Hinsdale, went to high school in Westfield, Indiana, and then later at Purdue. Strike called.
And the 3 true outcome guy tonight. Walk, strikeout, home run.
That is a base hit, and it's going to bring the tying run to the plate, and it will be veteran Jay Bruce off the bench. Bruce recently came off the DL. He had a hip injury. Missed 59 games.
He's going to get Justin Wilson.
So Joe playing the matchups. It'll be lefty-lefty when we come back, 9th inning. Justin Wilson in a big spot. Wind blowing out. Jay Bruce at the plate. 2 men on in a 3-run ball game.
This has been throwing the ball well lately. Scoreless baseball over his last 8 appearances. Overall league batting .206 against Justin. Lefties .181. Bruce this year against left-handed pitching, 188, 12 out of 64 with one long ball.
Swing and a miss on 96.
Just came off the disabled list a couple of days ago.
Bruce was traded to the Cleveland Indians last August with a stretch run. Good postseason with the Indians, but they got bounced in the division round. Bruce then re-signed with the Mets, 3-year deal.
So far, it has not worked out for Bruce, for the Mets for that matter, but injuries obviously a big part of his story this year.
Good effort, Baez, can't get it, bases loaded. So an 0-2 blistered into center. And that will bring up Rosario, the leadoff man. And will Joe make a change here?
Well, that's a good swing. Breaking ball outer third and down. It's very strong with a flick of the wrist, lines this ball into center. The answer to your question is indeed he will, as Joe's walking back out there to the mound. It'll be Jesse Chavez.
When we return, don't go anywhere. And it's Jesse Chavez with the bases loaded and one out here in the 9th inning. Leadoff walk and then back-to-back one-out singles, setting it up for Ahmed Rosario.
Kind of it takes a village 9th inning here for the Cubs tonight. This has been really good with the Cubs.
Foul tip, strike one.
15 appearances and a 1.33 ERA in a Cub uniform. 20 innings, 24 strikeouts, just 2 walks.
Fouled it off of first. And it's 0-2. Wilson had Bruce down 0-2 before Bruce lined one into center. 3-run ball game, 9th inning. Mets threatening. 1-2. Down the right field line and out of play. Hoping to stay dry tomorrow. Looking like we might get some rain. Day game Wednesday, and then the Cubs off for a 4-city 11-game road trip. Outside, 2-2.
Good lively hitter at 94. It was off the edge. Rosario's got a little pop in his bat. He's hit 7 home runs for the Mets this year as a minor leaguer. He had decent home run totals. He's only 22.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Now he's out.
2 gone. It will bring up Austin Jackson.
Jackson is 8 out of 17 in his career against Jesse. A couple of doubles and a triple.
He's got 2 hits tonight. That's with the bases loaded in the 9th. Cubs bullpen's been better than the Mets bullpen so far tonight, and I'm hoping that's the difference. Strike 2. Cishek gave up the tying homer in the 7th, but the Cubs put up 2 in that inning and added on the Rizzo homer in the 8th. Here's the pitch.
Dangerous, elevated. Completely different feel here in August with the wind blowing out in this heat, as opposed to a early season game when it's cold and the wind is blowing in. You can be super aggressive.
The wind has not let up all night.
Everything away so far. They're going to try to jam them. Get it in there.
One and 2 holding on Jackson.
It's a good visit here by Contreras. You know, he asked for that inside fastball last time, and Jesse left it out over the plate a little bit. He wants to make sure that whatever they decide to throw, Chavez is all in on.
Cubs 7, Mets 4. 9th inning. Bases loaded, 2 out. Another 1-2. Strike 3. Cubs win. Make it 6 in a row. 7 for the final.
Oh, what a great pitch to finish it off. A really smart move by Contreras to go out there and chat with it. It might have been low, but it's on the plate. Great movement on that 2-seam fastball. So, Cishek, Edwards, Strope, Wilson, Chavez all come out of the bullpen to nail this one down in support of John Lester. No decision for Lester tonight, but a big part of it, his effort here this evening. Cubs bats, man, they've been on a roll. 14 more hits here tonight.
So the Cubs lead in the division, a season best 4.5 over St. Louis. The Brewers are 5 games out. Both teams idle on this Monday night. And the Cubs now 5-0 versus the New York Mets in the season series.
6-game winning streak matches their season best.
Cishek over Blevins. Chavez gets the save. And the Cubs continue to score runs with Daniel Murphy at the top of the order. They have won all 6 games since he joined the lineup.
2 more knocks for Murphy tonight. He also took a walk, stole a base.
And Kelly's on the field. It is our On the Diamond interview presented by James and Sons Fine Jewelers. Take it away, Kelly.
All right, thanks a lot, Lynn. Well, Anthony, we knew this matchup against Syndergaard was going to be a tough one, but you're 1 through 4 in the lineup tonight with 9 of the team's 14 hits. What do you like about the combination of that, since we've seen it a few days in a row now?
I mean, we just, you know, with Syndergaard, you gotta do your best to fight him. He's got such good stuff, all 3-4 pitches that he throws. So I think we just did a good job at grinding him and getting him out of the game in 6. That's good for us against their bullpen. But guys, we're just having good at bats, and I feel like everyone's feeding off it right now.
Well, we could talk about your 22nd home run of the season, but I want to talk about the double in the 7th, which was your 1,000th hit as a Cub. Explain what it means to hit another milestone here in front of this crowd.
It's amazing. I don't ever take one day for granted. After we win, I stand on second, just enjoy the moment for a second. And hopefully I can continue to play here for a long time, but I really enjoy every single day I get to play here.
And the guy who started for you tonight, John Lester, doing it all from pitching to fielding to hitting. What can you say about his performance?
He had it all tonight. You know, he controlled the running game, picking a guy off, gets a big knock for us at 2 outs, gets knocked on his tail and catches the ball, battled through that first couple innings, and that's an impressive start for him with the wind blowing out. That's not easy with our pitchers to come in knowing that the wind's doing that, but he battled, and we didn't get him the victory, but we got a nice win versus a really quality pitcher.
Absolutely on a roll. Anthony, thanks for the time as always.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Guys, Anthony Rizzo.
All right, Kelly, thank you. And for joining us, Anthony receives a $500 gift card from James and Sons Fine Jewelers. So for JD, Kelly, Doug, and our entire NBC Sports Chicago crew here at Wrigley Field, headed by John Walsh, Dave Turner, Tamara Anderson, I'm Len Casper. Final score, Cubs 7, Mets 4. We're back with you here on NBCSN on Wednesday, 12:30 for a pregame coverage against the Mets. Coming up next, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, postgame live.